All right. Scary stories, channeling the dead, strange things happening. This coming up in this episode. So welcome everybody. It's October, and October in America is we're like ready for spooky, scary stories because, of course, in October this is the month where we have Halloween, big holiday, right? And so in October we love exchanging scary stories, listening to scary stories, and watching scary movies. It's a fun month, and it's all happening in October. So welcome, and we're going to talk about a strange, kind of scary, and real story that happened to you, Leon. So you're going to tell us what happened. But first, let's say hello. Leon, how are you doing today?
Good, Ben. How's it going, man? How's everything with you?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Awesome. You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Hey, everyone, what's up?
Yep. Hope you all are doing well. And we have a treat for you because we are going to be hearing from Leon. He's going to tell us a story, a scary story, where he was able to communicate, I think, with the dead. I don't know. You'll give us details, but how you did it involves a Ouija board, right? Ouija board.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the Ouija board. I mean, this is kind of like a board game. It's very popular in, like teenagers, young people, trying to channel like a ghost and whether it's true or not, people who are daring. So I've heard people actually play Ouija boards in cemeteries. That's not a
Oh,
good thing
that's
to do.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially they do that on Halloween and things like that. But
Yes.
I mean, with my experience, my cousin, he's actually 1 year older than I am, and he has a sister who's 3 years younger than me. And
Hmm.
after school during fall season, because 4:30 p.m. it was considered dark already, especially
Yeah,
5 p.m.
that's
So
right.
he came in, and all of a sudden, after school, he came in, and we were actually in the family room, and he says, "Hey, let's play this game." And I was like,
Hmm.
"What game's that?" And he goes, "Ouija board." And I was like, "What the heck is that?" I mean,
Hmm.
I was about 13, 14 years old. I'd say I was closer towards 14 years old at the time, middle school.
Hmm.
And he says, "Oh, this game is like it summons the dead, or like like spirits." And I don't know what kind of spirits. And I was like, "Ah, that's BS, right?" I didn't believe him. I'm a skeptic, so I
Yeah.
was like, okay, let's play this game. Let's go to the living room, and we took the game and went to the living room, and he started reading the instructions on the box of how to summon, the spirit, and it kind of guides you of what you need to do. And he started doing it, and next thing we knew, there was funny things that was happening, like
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on.
yeah.
Let's
Hmm.
so let's explain to people more about this device that you
Okay.
used.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's called a Ouija board, and oh, in case you're wondering how it's spelled, if you want to Google it, it's not spelled the way you think it's spelled. It's actually spelled Ouija. How weird is that, right? Ouija, but it
Yeah.
spells Ouija. If you want to Google it. You call it a board game, but in fact, it's not really a game so much as
Yes.
it's this weird board that you use to communicate with the dead, supposedly. Or I don't know if it
Hmm.
works, but
Yes.
we'll find out more in a second. But people use this, and this is so. Although it was sold as a board game, which is the strangest thing in America, sold as a board game, but it's
Hmm.
actually not really a game. But anyway, so it's a board, sort of like a board game. On the
Hmm.
board, on the board are a bunch of letters. It'll be A to Z. There's also numbers 1 to 0, or like 1 to 10, 0 to 1, whatever. 1 to 0, okay, 9 and then 0. And then there's the word yes, there's the word no, there's the word goodbye. That's all that's on the board.
Hmm.
Plus there is sort of like a cursor, this thing that you put your hand on, uh, to and on the thing is like sort of an eye. It's a piece of like, think of it as sort of like a magnifying glass, a piece of like this triangular shaped thing with an eye, like a almost like a magnifying glass kind of thing at the top. And the idea is that when you're able to summon the dead, this is very fun, weird and strange, but supposedly the spirit that you're talking to will move that triangular eye around the board to spell out different words that they want to to tell you, however they want to communicate to you. So you ask it a question that spells out the word, or it'll say yes or no by putting the piece of glass, the eye, on that thing and it shows yes or no, right? Or it'll place it on goodbye, it'll place it on the letter A and then blah, 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 and it forms a word and you'll know what it's trying to say to you. So I just want to give you guys a background on that's how the Ouija board works. So
Mhm.
now your cousin brings the Ouija board. It is early evening, it sounds like, right? Like it just got dark.
Yeah, it was like around 3 after school. So I would say it's about 3-ish,
Okay.
PM in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But you like you mentioned about the Ouija board, it's not like really a board game, but it's more like something, it's like a witchcraft kind of
It
thing. And you can
is.
buy
Yeah,
it
yeah.
and you can go to a toy store and you'll find it there in the toy in the aisle full of toys, all the board games, and you'll
Which
see
is
it there.
weird. Which is weird,
Yeah.
right? That
Uh-huh.
it's sold as a toy, but yet at the same time it can be kind of spooky and scary. Okay.
Yeah, so we went to the living room, and you
Hmm.
started doing the instructions and all that, and things started happening. Like lights started to flicker, and we were like wondering what was that about. And
Okay, but I want to
you
ask
know,
you, what like
mhm.
what do you do to summon the spirit? Don't you guys have to say something to
Yes,
say
it's
yes?
something you have to say, yes, because that's what the instruction is. You have to follow it. Like it's an easy step. It's like maybe 1 to maybe 7 or 10, under
What
10. You just follow it,
okay.
and it also tells you like what to say. I don't remember because
Uh-huh.
this is like middle school, right? So, but it tells you how to summon it. You have to follow it exactly to the
Hmm.
T, and word for word. So my cousin did that and things started happening like lights flickering, and next thing I knew there was like an air, because he has a pretty big house, right? So in the living room there's a sliding door, and in that sliding door there's like curtains, like cloth curtains, right? Not the blinds, but curtains. So we saw this curtain kind of like started to wave, like there was air inside the curtain, between the curtain and the sliding door, like the sliding door was open and you see the wind coming in, and it started moving like a wave thing, and we were like looking, it's like, wow, that's strange. And I was like, wait, where's that air coming from? And says, oh, I said, it's probably your sliding door is open. And he went, got up, checked it, sliding door was closed. I said, you know what, that's probably from the dining area, the windows there is open. And he went and checked it and it was closed. And I said, well, what about the kitchen? I mean, it's probably coming in the kitchen, because I'm a skeptic, right? And he says, yeah, the window is open in the kitchen. I said, well, go ahead and close it. So, and I said, see, that's where it came from. It came from the kitchen. And so he closed that window, and he came back, and we started doing it, and it started doing it again. And I'm like, no, there's got to be your air condition or something like that. And then next thing we knew, we started playing the game, and that object, that triangle, it actually moves. We put our hand or our fingers on it, all three of us. So that's like, six hands, my two cousins and myself.
Okay, hold on a
And
second. Hold on a
mhm,
second.
yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. So okay, just found out. I just googled it. So
Hmm.
it's called that thing that is triangular shaped with the glass eye,
Hmm.
it's called a planchet. Planchet.
Hmm. Hmm.
Planchet. Planchet. Okay.
Okay.
So you're supposed to so let's go back a second. So
Hmm.
everybody who's quote playing is supposed to lightly place their hand, all of
Yes.
you, on this planchet, right?
Yes, that's correct. Put our
Right.
not our hands, because it's a small thing.
Fingers.
So we put our fingers. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes, lightly place your fingers on the planchet, the triangle or heart shaped piece. Okay, and the planchet should move freely across the board. And then, so apparently, you're supposed to ask something. You're supposed to ask questions when to begin. You're
Yes.
supposed to say like, "Is anyone here? Would you like to communicate with me?" Or
Yes.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yes, and
Yes. So,
mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
So, would you
And what?
remember exactly? Do you remember exactly what you said? Or
No, not exactly. I mean, we would ask questions like probably
okay.
what you
Is
mentioned.
anybody
Is
there? Kind of
anybody
thing.
here? And
Yeah.
things started, coming out weird, like, the air and everything, lights flickering. And then we
Okay.
started, asking questions. If you're here, maybe like make a noise or a sound or something like that. And we would hear like a knock or some type of a noise. And we're like, that's weird. And then we would continue like, who are you? simple things like, we're kids,
Before
we're teenagers. Hmm.
before you had any sort of weird sounds, how long was it before you started asking questions with your fingers on the planchette? How long before there was some indication that maybe a spirit was there? Like right away, or
I'd
you
say
had to?
I'd say about less than 5 minutes. It's
Oh,
probably within five
oh.
minutes. Yeah.
So okay, so during this 5 minutes, you guys keep asking questions, and you keep your fingers on this planchette, this that triangular thing, and you keep asking questions. Is anybody there? We're looking to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but sometimes we take our fingers out because there's like things, we hear noise, or
Uh,
we see this, kind of air kind of thing, lights
mhm.
flickering, and he gets up. So, sometimes we take our fingers out and then we put it back in before we start asking questions, and then we would continue. And I remember asking like questions like, like, how old are you?
Mhm.
What do you look like? That kind of thing.
So
And how did you die?
when
Yeah.
you said when you ask questions like how old are you, that that planchette, that triangular
Yes.
thing, that
Hmm.
thing starts to move to a number, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
What we
so then.
do is we tend to move it, and
Uh-huh.
then it kind of guides us where it's going to move, like where. I mean, sometimes we try to push it at one place, but it has its own way or energy or whatever you want to call it. It actually moves where it wants to go because it's answering the question. So,
Mhm.
for example, if I say like, well, how old are you? And I want to move it to a letter, but it's moving it to a number, for example, right?
Mhm. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
So
so mhm.
when that thing moves, everybody's finger is
Every
still on it.
yes, yes,
But
everyone's fingers on it. We don't know who's moving it. We don't know if it's one of my cousin is moving it, or I'm moving
yeah.
it, or is actually spirits moving it. We have no clue, right? So,
Yes.
for me, the it was moving. It was moving with our fingers on it. Yes. So
It
we would
was
ask
moving.
questions. Yeah.
But you
Hmm.
assumed
Yes.
you're assuming that your cousin, nobody else was
Yes.
actually moving it.
Yes, I'm assuming that my cousins were the one moving it, not me. Or my cousins were thinking that I was moving it, not them. So
So was
yeah, I
anybody
mean,
moving it? Do you think?
I don't, well, for me at that time, because I'm a skeptic, I thought that my cousins were moving it. Yeah, they were playing a joke with me or something, or they're
Oh,
just horsing
okay.
around. Yeah.
I see.
So
Until you started feeling like
yes,
the wind blowing, the curtains, the lights. Then you're like,
even
okay,
even with that, I'm like I mentioned, I'm a skeptic. I still didn't believe it. So for me, I was thinking all throughout that time that my cousins were the one moving it, and maybe they were just playing a game and not taking it seriously. And I'm sure
mhm,
they probably felt the same way with me too, right?
okay, yeah,
So we would ask questions, like I mentioned, those simple type questions, and we asked like, how old are you? Because we would take turns, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
asking questions. He was like in the 70s or late 60s. He was African American, a Black American. He died because of old age. And he warned us too. He warned us, say, you kids should not play this. This is not a game. This is something serious. You don't know what you're getting into. Um, he
Okay,
started telling us all this. Now,
how
yes,
is
go
he
ahead.
able? Okay, how is he able to tell you all this?
Yes,
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 because it's a lot of information.
yes,
It takes a long time
exactly.
to spell out all of this stuff because the only
Yes.
way they can communicate with you is by spelling out words. So how is he able to spell out
Well,
all
that's the thing.
that
That's the
information?
thing. When we ask questions like, how old are you? How did you die? These simple questions that he can answer. But these things, the one that I just mentioned to you, that he just said, like, you guys are are don't know what you're getting into and things like that. We heard his voice through
What?
us.
You
Yes,
heard
we heard his voice.
you heard
Yes.
his
He
voice.
was talking, he was talking to us, telepathy, right? We were all hearing the same thing
You mean in your ears you heard it?
in
You didn't
your
it was
in our
not.
mind, in our
Oh,
ears, wherever it is. Yes, we
it
were
wasn't like in the
hearing this in
room.
our mind. Yeah,
The sound
it
was not
wasn't
in the
like,
room.
yeah, the sound came clear like you and I, except it was in our mind, not through our ears. It's not like we hear voices. I heard it, my cousins heard it. uh
Yes.
yeah, we heard this, him speaking to us, telling us, he was warning us basically. We were kind of freaked out. But that was at the later part. Before that whole thing happened, we, my cousins wanted to stop. They were kind of freaked out, and I
So
was
when
like,
you
no, no, we're not stopping.
wait,
Yeah.
so
Uh-huh.
when you started hearing him say something, did you guys say to each other, did you just hear somebody say blah 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 blah,
Yes.
and did you all compare
Yes.
notes? Like it turns out you all heard the same thing.
Yes. Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
And
Okay.
that was kind of freaky, and that kind of freaked out my cousins, and they did, one of them, like
Okay.
my the
How
girl,
many of
wait,
you
was
were
it the
playing?
girl? Just three of us,
Of the
my two
three. Okay.
cousins. Yeah.
Okay, a
And
guy,
my
girl, and
cousin,
you.
yeah, exactly. And my cousin, who's a girl, she kind of was freaking out. She said, "I don't want to play anymore." And I said, "No, no, no, we're continuing." And me and my cousin, the guy who was 1 year older than me, says, "Yeah, we're continuing." And we kind of dictated, we're going to go ahead and play. And then we started continuing to ask questions. And the funny thing is, I started seeing a smoke. We saw a smoke, like a light smoke, kind of like whitish, grayish kind of smoke, like floating. It was floating by the curtains,
Oh,
and
wow.
we were
Okay.
like, what the heck is that?
Was
You
it yet
know?
dark? Was it dark by this point?
Hmm?
Was it
No,
dark?
no, this was like I'd say around before 3:30ish. Yeah.
Oh, it was still
Yeah.
afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon time, right after school. Yeah, we
Okay.
started playing.
Uh-huh.
So because we were the only ones at the house, right? After school, we go home to his house and we were playing there. So no
Okay.
adults, nothing. It's just us three. So I saw this cloud kind of like hovering around, on it was just basically hovering. It was kind of whitish, grayish, and it was floating really slow. And next thing we knew, it was like my cousin got up, the guy, and he looked and took a stick because he was afraid to touch it. So he used a stick, some sort of stick, and he kind of, touched it, but it was like air. It was just like a smoke,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So we went down, we were just looking, and as we were watching it, and it was just kind of started to go actually to us. Yeah.
It came
And
towards you, this smoke,
yeah, it
this
came
cloud.
it came
Uh-huh.
towards us, yeah. And next thing you knew, it went to my I'm trying to remember if it was my yeah, it was my cousin, the guy, the older one. It went inside his body. It literally went inside his body. And
You mean, hold on a second. You mean the
he was
smoke?
possessed.
You mean the smoke started
Yes.
moving towards you guys. It got to your
Yes.
cousin and it sort of
Yeah.
dissipated when it reached your cousin. It sort of disappeared
Yeah.
when it reached your cousin.
It entered his body, basically, is the best way I
Okay.
can describe it. It went inside his body. The best way is that he was possessed by the smoke or by the spirit, whatever you want to call it, this entity. So and he kind of like started talking in a more deeper voice. It was still my cousin's voice, but it didn't sound normal. And he
Mm-hmm.
looked at us with like his face was like still like a statue, and his eyes were like it wasn't blinking.
Mm-hmm.
So it was strange. And he started talking to us, and I was like, man, get out of there. Stop fooling around. And I kind of pushed him, like, stop it,
Yeah.
and he says, no, I'm this guy. And he said, he introduced himself. And I think that was part of what he was saying, that we heard the voices saying that, I'm telling you guys, you need to stop this game. This is not, uh, something to be played around. You don't know what you're getting into. He basically literally told us what we were getting into. He says, you don't know what you're getting into. Like, you're summoning the spirits. You can get a bad spirit or a good spirit. You don't know what you're dealing with. And I'm like, man, get out of here. I didn't believe him. He entered outside my cousin's body, and my cousin was like, what happened? And I said, what? What do you mean? You just told us and blah blah blah. And he says, no, I didn't tell you this. And I was like, man, you're BSing. And the
Mm-hmm.
smoke was still hovering within us, and it entered my cousin, the girl,
Mm-hmm.
on his side, and she started doing the same thing. And we looked, and we were like freaking out, like, okay, stop it, And
Mm-hmm.
he was telling us, he was warning us not to play it, and this and that. And that's he was saying all kinds. I don't remember everything about how he died. I think he died of sickness in bed and things like that.
So
After
the
that,
the
uh-huh,
smoke, the smoke
yeah,
inhabited your cousins' bodies. What
Yeah.
about yours? Did it come to you?
Yes, after it went left my cousin, the girl, it started to come towards me, and I was kind of like moving away, like trying to dodge it. But I was still sitting, we were cross-legged, sitting on the floor, and it was coming to me, and I was kind of like weaving my way for him not to enter. And then I was just like, okay. And then it tried to go in my body, and it failed. It couldn't get in in my body. So this is when I realized that my spirit, I believe that it's strong, that it's not easily, approachable in that kind of way where a spirit enters it. It went
Mhm.
in. It tried to go in my body. It couldn't go in. It tried twice,
What do you mean by it
twice or
tried,
three
and
times.
how did you
It,
perceive
it
that
just
it
tried
tried to
coming
go in?
inside. It just
Did
tried
you
to go inside
feel
my body.
did you
I
feel
didn't
some
feel anything.
sensation? Oh.
No, I didn't feel anything. I just saw this smoke
Uh-huh.
try to enter my body, and it couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
It came into it tried to go in my body. It failed. It
Mm-hmm.
moved away, tried to
Okay.
come back in my body. It couldn't enter,
Weird.
moved
Okay.
away, and tried again. And then after that, it moved far, right? It moved like in the middle of the room. And I was like, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden it just speeded up or just bursted really fast. Like it just zoomed, entered my body. I don't remember anything after that. Yeah. It's like a rocket or a bullet that just went really fast. This smoke really went in and went inside my body, and I don't remember anything from that. The only thing I remember is when I woke up, both of my cousins were looking at me with their mouth open, with their eyes wide open, and they say, "You just don't know what you know." Because I said, what's going on? Why are you guys looking at me?" And he goes, "You don't know?" And I said, "No." He goes, "You were just telling us." And I was like, "What?" He said, "You were telling us of what was going on, and we shouldn't be playing, and da 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 da." And I said, "You guys are crazy. There's nothing." He goes, "You don't remember anything?" I said, "Well, I remember that thing going, tried to get in, but that's it." And he goes, "No, my cousin, the guy, says we're not playing anymore. I'm closing this game." So because that African American, that spirit, the entity, told us that we need to stop the game. We had to cancel the game in order for the spirit to stop, right? For the spirit to leave. So my cousin, his next question is like, okay, I want to say goodbye. So he said goodbye. So he closed the game, and I was not satisfied. I was like, no, 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 no. I want to play this game. Let's continue. And they were already afraid. They were like, scared to death in a way. And I said, no. This time I was like leading, and I said, we're playing it. We're not going to play in this room. We're going to go to the family room. Maybe something here, or maybe it's a big room. Let's go to the family room. And I convinced them. So I said, I'm going to do it. I don't believe this. I think what we experienced, you guys are playing. We're just, you know, bullshitting or BSing our way here. I don't believe it. I'm going to dictate it. I'm going to follow the instructions. So we went to the family room, which is something smaller. It's next to the kitchen. And then there's like a hallway that goes to the bedrooms and bathrooms, etc. So I started leading it. The same thing happened. We saw this. He has a family room. There's another sliding door there with curtains there, and the curtain started, moving like air. I said, "Well, I thought you closed the window." It says, "Yeah, all the windows are closed." So he checked, and everything was closed. The light started flickering. I said, "Okay, it's probably nothing," you know. And next thing we know, we started asking questions like we did with the other spirit, the black guy, and we got a little girl this time, and this little girl's about like 9, 10 years old. uh, Told us about her name, but this is I'll tell about the name later. But told us about how she died. She was killed by an older man. I don't know if it's an uncle, but some adult guy killed her. I don't know if she was sexually abused or not. But yeah, we were talking to her like she we were asking questions, and then all of a sudden when we were asking questions, she started screaming like, "Oh my gosh, like there's somebody here." And we were all hearing this, and she was like, "Somebody's here." And we said, "What do you mean?" And we started talking to her, And says, no, there's a guy. This guy wants to kill me. Oh, and she was like, like a little girl, like scared, frightened, running. And we were like, run, run, go to the room. What do you see? Go to a room and blah, blah, blah. And he says, this guy's chasing me. He's chasing me. It says, there's a closet, go hide, and things like that. And next thing you know, we had silence. And we were like, hey, you okay? Where are you? And we were just like looking at each other, like, okay, what happened to
You
her? What
guys
would
would
just happen?
actually be you guys would actually be vocalizing these questions. You would talk out
Yes.
loud. Okay.
Yes, yeah. And next thing you know, she says, "Who? I think I lost him." And says, "Where'd you go?" "Oh, he hid. I hid, and he didn't see me." Okay, we can continue with the game. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, I was freaking out in kind of way, but I was scared. But at the same time, I was still a skeptic, even though with all these things happening, I was still some kind of skeptic. I don't know why. And we started saying, "Well, what's your name?" And because it was we were taking turns. What's your name? And the thing started moving towards spelling her name, and I was pushing it in a different way. Let's say, for example, I was pushing on the right, but it was going on the left. And I said to my cousin, "Hey, stop it!" And he's like, "I'm not doing anything." I said, "Get your hand out. I don't trust you. I don't believe you." And he took his hand up. He raised his hands up, and I said, "No, no, no, take it out completely." So it was just me and the girl, my cousin. And I know that I'm stronger than her because she's 3 years younger than me. So I said, okay, well, I'm pushing it to the right. And for some reason, it kept going to the left. And there's a force. It was really strong. And I know that I'm stronger than my cousin, the girl, because she's 3 years younger. And I couldn't believe how strong this was. And I couldn't believe it. And I said, okay, stop. And then I took the board. I looked at it, kind of to see if there was magnetized and things. I even bended it, and I almost broke the board because there was no magnet. There was nothing. I thought there was something that was moving this this object. What did you call it? The
The planchette.
Yeah, planchette. I thought it was magnetized or something, but it wasn't. And I said, okay, let's continue. And she kept moving it, and I was thinking, and she was blaming me. She said that I was the one moving it. I said, okay, stop. I said, get your hand out, and it was just my fingers, and I was the one moving it. And like I said, I was moving it to the right. It kept moving to the left. I was puzzled. I could not understand this, and I left my hand there and or my fingers, and I just went with it, and it started spelling her name. And when it was close to the last two letters, I stopped. I freaked out because she was spelling her name, and I said, "I'm not playing this." And I took my hand out, and this planchette started moving by itself.
Hmm.
Yeah, it
Well, what's
moved
their
by
name?
itself.
What's her name?
Yeah, that's the thing. It moved by itself and spelled out her name, and her name is Rachel. Yeah.
Okay.
And I said, when it spelled out her name, it freaked me out. I said, I'm not playing this game no more. And my cousins were all scared too. And I said, I'm not playing this game no more. And next thing you know, the board flipped. Like how when you see in movies or something when you're playing chess and somebody's upset and angry and they just take the board and flip it, or the chess board and flip it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. This board just flipped, like someone just flipped it up in the air, and I freaked out. We just kind of took a step back, and then next thing we knew, the faucets in the kitchen, the bathroom, the faucets turned on by itself. The bathroom toilet started flushing. All the doors started slamming, closing. He probably had like 6 doors, 5 or 6 doors, and it slammed one by one, like literally loud, like someone was slamming it. And you see the
Mm-hmm.
lights flickering, and we freaked out, and we said, okay, get this game, let's put it away. And we didn't say goodbye to the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he took this game, he put it up, and he put it in the closet. Could not close it in the closet. He put the game in the closet. He tried closing the door on the closet. It would not close.
It
He
was
tried it, he
jammed.
tried pushing it, it was jammed. It just wouldn't close.
Mm-hmm.
Every time it closed, it opens up by itself. And then all three of us kind of went there, put the force to close it until you hear the click, click. So once you hear the click, you know that it went through, that the door's, shut, I guess, fixed, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
completely closed. And then all of a sudden, when we started walking away, we see the handle open, turned, and the door opened by itself, and the game fell on the floor. And by this time, it was like, I'd say, oh gosh, I'd say around 5-ish, 5 o'clock. So remember, this is daylight saving, it's already dark. So all the lights, the lights were on, and what was that? The doors, some of the doors started slamming because we opened it, and instead it started opening and closing. So it was opening and closing like we're really loud noises. Lights were flickering, and then all of a sudden, all the lights turned off. It was completely dark in the house, and the front door opened up like a squeaking sound, like really slow. We started yelling like, little girls, right? We
Mm-hmm.
started screaming, and my aunt came in, and she turned on the light. She says, "What's going on here? Why is all the lights off?" And we all rushed to her. We hugged her. We were scared, and she was like, "Oh, why? What happened? What's going on?" We were scared shitless, or I shouldn't say that, but we were completely scared. And we were trying to tell her. She's like, "Come on," she didn't believe us. Everything was quiet. There was nothing. Everything was, no faucets, no toilets flushing, no doors closing. And she says, "Why is all the doors closed?" Next thing you know, my mom picked me up. I left the house and then went home. Normal things. I'm on my PJ. I'm watching television. My parents were on the Nook. The Nook is kind of like a place where you have breakfast and lunch and dinner. It's not like a dining area. It's a Nook. It's like next to the kitchen. There's a corner place, and in that corner place, we have this family room, right? So I'm watching television, and next thing you know, the TV went off. It just like shut off, and I said, "Oh," and I kept pressing the button, and when it wouldn't turn on, I said, "Oh, I have a feel." I was completely scared. I thought, "Is this girl here? Is this little girl here?" At first, I thought it was maybe the TV was broken, and my parents said, "Oh, what happened to the TV? Is it broke?" And I gave the remote to them because my dad says, "Let me see the remote." Try to turn it on. And says, "Oh, the TV broke." And then next thing you know, the lights started flickering, right? And when the light started flickering, I knew that she was in my house. And
Mm-hmm.
my parents were like, "Oh, it's the light bulb or something like that." And all of a sudden, I started hearing the voice in my mind. This little girl. She says, "I want to play." I never forget this. "I want to play." And I said, "Well, no, I'm not playing." And she started getting you know, angry, right? "I want to play." And I said, "No, I'm not playing with you." And I wasn't talking in with my mouth,
By the way, how
like
old
as
were
I'm
you
speaking
then?
with you. I was like about 14,
Okay.
14-ish, I'd say, between 13 and 14, but more 14, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm not talking to her in terms like I'm talking to you. I'm talking through my mind, right? And I'm speaking in my mind. And I'm saying, "I'm not playing with you." And she says, "I want to play." And I said, "No, I'm not playing anymore." And I ignored her. And when I ignored her, she just got angry and says, "I want to play. I want to play. I want to play. I want to play. I want to play." And then all of a sudden, all the faucets turned on, all the toilets started flushing, all of our doors started slamming, and we have like about maybe seven doors, from the bedrooms to the hallways and bathrooms and etc. And I knew what was going on. My parents looked like scared. They were completely out of it. They looked at each other and says, my mom's like, "Go check." And my husband's like, "No, I'm not checking. You check," right? And my mother ended up getting up, and because they were paying the bills, doing the bills, and I wasn't gonna move. And says, they asked me, and I'm like, "I'm not going." So my mom ended up going to the hallway, went to the bedrooms and everything, and she came out from the hallway. She came to the door. She stood in the door, just like a robot, I guess. She stood there with a blank face, like completely blank face, like a deer in a headlight looking at us. And I was like, "Oh, shoot, the girls possessed my mom," right? That's what I was thinking. And my mom said that all the windows are closed. And that was the thing that she said. All the windows are closed. There's nothing open. And I checked all the windows and all the doors of all the bathrooms, the bedrooms, everything is closed. All the faucets were on. She completely freaked out. And then she said maybe somebody in my relatives died, so she started calling her siblings and relatives, and they were telling her no, nobody died and things like that. And I just hear this thing constantly. I want to play. 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 I want to play like a little child, right? And I was like, I'm not going to get rid of this girl. And so I said, okay, I kind of flipped it and I said, okay, I'll play with you. But you know what? I don't have the game. I'll play with you, but I don't have this game. So I can play with you. I don't mind playing with you. I'll play with you now, but I don't have the game. And then next thing I know, the TV went on. It just like everything, the faucets closed, the toilet stopped flushing, the light stopped flickering, the TV went on, and it was like nothing. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, where's the voice? And I don't hear the voice anymore. And so it seems like I got rid of her. And then I kind of started freaking out, like, oh wait, what if that game all of a sudden shows up in my closet or my bedroom? I'd freak out, right? But it didn't. And so, I was too scared at this age. I had my own bedroom. I told my mom, hey, I want to sleep in you guys with, in your bedroom, in the master bedroom, master suite, because I can't sleep with that thing going on. And my mom realized it that, what happens says, yeah, you can sleep here for one night. I was like, okay, cool. And but they go to work really early, like 7 p.m. I mean 7 a.m. And so my parents were gone by 7 a.m. And by that time, uh, I went to my bedroom, right? uh, and the phone rings so early in the morning. My cousin called me, and she said, and the guy, and he said, "Hey, has anything happened to you in the bedroom?" And I was like anything happened? And I was like, "What do you mean?" I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to sound like I was crazy or something. And he says, "Yeah, there's a lot of things that happen in my house," and he was telling me all the things like same thing what happened in my house, like. Uh, Toilets flushing, couldn't sleep all night, faucets keep turning on and off, lights were flickering, but mostly the toilets kept flushing. They couldn't sleep all throughout the night. Uh, and then I told my situation, and I was like, yeah. I said, you know what? Maybe just wait. Maybe it'll disappear. After a few days, like 2 days, I think, two or 3 days, he says, I said, so what's going on? He says, it's still happening. We can't sleep. We don't know what's going on. It's like a poltergeist, right? Kind of thing. He says, like, we can't sleep, these things. And I said, well, wait a minute. Do you remember that? No, I think he said to me, we need to play the game again to say goodbye. And I'm like, bro, I'm not, I said, dude, I'm not gonna play that game no more. I'm not playing it. He goes, you have to come here to the house and play it. I'm not, no, I'm not playing it. I'm not going through that again. I don't want to go to your house. It says I'm gonna bring the game to your house. And I said, no, I'm not letting you in the house. I don't want that game near me. I'm not playing that game. And I said, well, what do you want us to do? I said, well, you play it. You and your sister can play the game. Say goodbye. Stop the game. Say goodbye. And he said, do you think it works? I think you have to be there. I said, no, no, no. You guys do it. If it doesn't work, then I'll go. But I'm not doing it. You guys need to play it. Play it tonight, or play it as soon as possible. So they played it, and it stopped. The next day, they said, seems like the girl's gone. There's nothing there anymore. Yeah.
So that's it. They sent her back.
Yeah, they sent her back. They said goodbye to her because once you say goodbye, that's it. For some reason, whatever that force, that energy somehow probably takes back this spirit or entity, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
So did your parents ever talk about that night again? I mean, did you guys talk
No,
about it?
no, that we didn't. Yeah. It was just one of those things. The next day, my parents didn't talk about much because it didn't happen again. I mean, if it happened again, I'm sure we probably would have been talking about it, but because it only happened that one night, maybe it was one of those fluke, but they never brought it up. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
So for you, the Ouija board, it did work.
Yes, it worked. We were lucky, okay, because we got good spirit. You know, little girl, the old man, uh, that's okay. Even though what we encountered, it's fine, but there are bad spirit that that old man told us about. So can you imagine if we would have gotten like a murderer or, uh, a psychopath, someone who's evil? I mean, that would have been insane for us. So we were lucky. And that's the thing that the old man told us too, that, you don't know what kind of spirits you're getting. It summons it. Whatever it summons it that's closest or something like that, that's who it takes.
Hmm.
So it's and I always tell people, I never told this story much to a lot of people because it's too crazy to talk about it. But when people start talking about ghost stories or ghosts, and why don't you want to watch horror movies or scary movies, it's because of this. For me, is when you watch horror movies or scary movies, for me, I believe that it brings bad energy, bad vibes. You don't know what you're actually inviting in horror movies that can bring into your house, and that's why I never watch it. Yeah, that's why I don't like watching scary movies or anything that relates to it. Yeah, because of my experience. And people, when I tell my Ouija board experience and they laugh or something, I say, you know what? You go ahead, by all means, play it. You don't believe it? Play it and let's talk. Until
Hmm.
then, I don't care what you think. If you think it's funny, you think it's a joke, play it. You think it's a
Hmm.
joke, you think it's funny, play it. Then we'll talk, and then we'll see what you say. That's what I always tell people. You think it's funny, you think it's a lie, you think it's all a joke. Play Ouija board. Go ahead. I dare you. I double dare you if you're in that kind of mood. For me, I know what I've been through, and for me, I believe in spirits. I wasn't 100% believe in spirits and ghosts and things like that, but that made me a believer. Yeah.
Okay, wow, that's a very intriguing story.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was a very good story, and it was very spooky. And well, if anybody is curious, okay, go ahead, try it, and let us know. Leave a comment, or
Yeah.
maybe if you have any experience in something like this, leave a comment. But thank you for that story, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was a nice, spooky story. Please give this video a thumbs up. Leon, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah.
for
Thanks,
that
Ken.
great story kicking off October for us.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks for letting me share my experience with the Ouija board. There are other things, other scary things that I've also experienced. I don't know if, the why me, why I experienced this. I think is because I've experienced death before. Uh, like as a child, I was pronounced dead. I was considered
Oh.
like a blue. I was a blue baby. You've been in the medical, studying medical and medical field, and I was a blue baby when I was born. So I was pronounced dead. So, but I was able to revive, and I always believe that when somebody dies, you don't come out as normal anymore. I think you have certain
Oh.
kind of feelings and things like that. So I think one of it is probably that. So yeah, but anyhow, thank you for everyone for listening, and have other stories maybe we can share in our Halloween spooky stories and things like that. So thanks everyone. See
For
y'all later.
sure. All right.
Yeah,
See you guys in the next podcast. Stay tuned. Bye bye for now.
yeah.